Hey there, so it's December 1st, 2017. Thought I'd just do a quick update on my Malahini build. Just started working on it about, I don't know, a little over a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I think I mentioned before that I own a landscape business, so I don't really do a whole lot of work on the boat during the summertime, spring, summer, and fall, but then in the wintertime, unless it's snowing, I have time to do my hobbies and all that. So I'm back into it. Last time I took a video, the boat was sitting in the driveway just about to be flipped over and put onto this trailer. I had this trailer built for me. It's somewhere like in Ohio. Loadmaster, a guy named Gary, put it together for me, and it's a really nice trailer. It's a little over $4,000, so it wasn't cheap, but I think it's well worth it. It's tandem axle, torsion axle, and all that stuff, and it's just really classy. I think it'll go well and complement the boat well. And I really wanted to just go all out on this project and really do it right. So the paint, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. The camera doesn't show it too well. There's a little bit of like orange peel in it, but it actually did level out pretty nicely, and I was kind of worried about that, and I'm very happy with how my boot stripe turned out in the dark green paint underneath it. You can actually see in the trailer, if I get close enough to it, it's got a little bit of green in it as well, and it kind of goes with the bottom of the boat. I still have a little touch-up I need to do on it where the paint kind of bled through. So I'll probably take a razor blade and just try and kind of pick away at that and do a little touch up with the black. But the bottom side of the line looks really nice and sharp, so I just got to do that. You can kind of see along this side, you know, it's a good job. It's not a professional, but for an amateur, I'm pretty happy with it on how I did it. So I got the bow eye installed. That was kind of nerve-wracking, drilling into my fresh paint and all that, but it went very well. And now I'm working on all the topside stuff. So you can see I've got the strong back installed, I've got the dash beam installed, the deck battens are installed, this intermediate beam is in. Obviously the middle beam there was put in when I was doing the fourth frame, but then everything else is brand new within the last week and a half. I still have to fare this down, but you know, things to do right now. I'm kind of waiting on my motor to show up so I can get other things installed before I start putting on the sub deck and all that. I'm planning on putting my fuel tank in here. I got a 15 gallon fuel tank. Excuse me, got a little bit of a cold here. A 15-gallon tank that I'm planning on putting in the front of the boat, and then I'll run the lines. Probably run my electrical on the right side, and then maybe just to switch it up a little bit, run the fuel on the left. I'll drill some holes through the frame here to run my fuel back. And then while this is all exposed, I did something a little bit different with the dash beam. I put this plywood, it's marine grade 1/2-inch plywood on the back to kind of make grooves for my deck bands to go into. And I'm pretty happy with how it worked. These are sitting a little bit low in here, but I did purposely set this high here so I could fare it down and make it nice and level. So that's why it kind of looks like it's sitting low in there. But that should be good. Everything else is pretty much lined up where I need it to be. A little bit of fairing here and there, but I've got the basic idea of where it's got to go. I think the dash beam turned out really nicely. Obviously not much to it. I just routed the bottom edge of it. I didn't do anything fancy with it. I kind of want to keep it straightforward, keep it as clean as possible. I didn't want to involve too many lines, and just whenever I try and get fancy with it is when things can get a little bit wonky. So I kept it basically straightforward. I'll put the steering wheel, of course, on the starboard side and get all the gauges installed. And while this deck is open, that'll give me a chance to be able to wire everything pretty easily. I need to figure out where I'm going to put like the radio and stuff like that. I'd like to put like a GPS/depth finder in it if I can figure out a way to work that into the dash. All the units are pretty big these days, so I don't know if that's technically possible. I haven't looked into it too far, but that's something I'd like to do. So that's that. The Carling is in. That's just, you know, a 1/2-inch piece of mahogany. I got a bunch of mahogany down here, which I'm pretty excited about. Just dropped $300 on a bunch of 12-footers. And I resaw this, cut it right in half, so it's actually just shy of a 1/2-inch. Figure instead of just planing down 1 inch to 1/2 inch, might as well just cut it right down the middle and get twice as much wood out of it. So it's just a hair less than a 1/2 inch because of the blade and just planing it, but turned out nicely. I put a little bit of a round over edge on this, and I'm hoping when I do the interior work to run mahogany all down the frames and do something with the floor so you can't see any of the inside of the boat where it's painted gray. And I painted the whole build, or the whole inside of the boat with a good marine bilge paint that allows the wood to breathe but still protects it. So, but I do want to cover all that up. I don't want you to see any of the inside work. I'm going to run all my wires in there and all that. So this will all get covered up with mahogany, and I'm hoping I can kind of match the mahogany to go right up against it, and it'll look really pretty, I'm hoping. So that's all that. As far as the floor goes, it's just 1/2 inch marine grade plywood, and I did run the floor battens and all that. You can't really see it. There's no way to really show the floor battens, of course, because they're covered up, but if I get in there, you can kind of see them in there. But those run along the whole length, and I've got everything screwed in, and some people would probably argue against it. I did glue the sheets down because I didn't want any squeaks in the floor or anything. And typically when you don't glue the floor and if you just screw it, you'll get a little, you get some squeaks here and there, kind of like you would in a house that doesn't have a glued floor or something like that. So I did glue it down. Hopefully I don't regret doing that. And then that stuff in the roll right there is my marine grade vinyl flooring. It's kind of like for a pontoon or something. It looks really cool. It's woven, and it's got some beige, some black, and some gray in it. So I'm hoping if I do kind of like a beigeish interior along with the mahogany, it'll look really nice. That'll roll right out on the floor, and I'll first put in the box there is a gallon of marine adhesive for that flooring. So I'll put that down and then put the furniture on top of it. And it's got a little bit of padding in it, so it should be kind of comfortable to walk on if you have bare feet on. And originally I thought about doing a planked floor, but I thought if somebody gets on the boat and they've got like a rock in their shoe or something like that, it'll scratch it all up and make me sad. And it'll save a little bit of time. Not that I need to save time, but I like to kind of keep projects moving if I can. I've got about a little over 8 months into this boat over the last 2 years, and I've got about 4 more months until the next growing season starts, and I'd like to finish this thing up in the next 4 months. So it'll be kind of nice to get that rolled out. It'll look good. I'll be able to put the furniture on it. It'll be comfortable, and should be pretty low maintenance. It can be bleached and all that. So I'll let you guys know how that goes in. But it wasn't terribly expensive. I think the floor and the glue and all that stuff was a little over, I think it was around $200 or something like that. So that should be good. Over here I got my motor well in, kind of a crude paint job right now. Once again, I just did the bilge paint on just to give it some color, so if you do go in there and inspect it, I'll probably put, some people in this area like to put some type of hatch that comes up, and I'm not going to do great big hatches, but I'll put a few, probably 1 or 2 hatches so you can access the battery, and if you need to inspect anything down there you can. And if you do open up that hatch, I want it to look not like raw wood, so I decided just to paint it gray. That should look good. Of course, the seat back will come up to here. I'll have decking over here after I get the motor installed and all that, but I want to get the battery placed and all that before I do any coverings and all that. And then this is another shot of the motor well. I just painted it black. I figured it would go well with the boat's already black. And that was another one of those things where I thought I could plank the inside or something, and I thought keep it simple, and it'll still look nice and clean having that black there. So then the areas like the front deck and the sides and the upholstery on the inside will really pop out. It'll kind of give a little more contrast, I guess. I don't know, something like that. The motor well went very easily. It's all 1/2 inch marine grade plywood. Got my oak and everything, all the frames and all that stuff is all white oak, so I got all that installed. I did get my hole drilled for the self-bailing well, so that should be good. And it's kind of cool when you put this boat together. I was first a little bit skeptical about putting a big outboard on this thing. I thought, God, to hang 230 pounds off the back of this dry and then go power around, I mean, that's a lot of weight for a plywood transit. But then you look at all this structure the plans have you put in with a strong back and these battens and all that stuff, and you can kind of see how energy really gets transferred efficiently throughout the whole hull, on the top side, along the floor, on the bottom, through the frames, the shears, the chines, all that stuff. So it's really cool engineering, I think. Teaches you a lot as you're putting it together. It's been really a fun project. Give you a side, kind of a side profile there. My garage is a little bit tight, so it's tough to get great camera angle, but I think the next step for me, while I'm kind of waiting for the motor to show up, is I'm going to put in my bow eyes on the back. I'm going to probably go right in the middle here, right through this oak, right through this white oak, so it'll be nice and strong if I had to pull something off of it, or if you're going to, I don't know if you'd pull a tuber with it, but I guess you could hook up to that for a tube or something, and that should be good. I might put a swim ladder on it or something like that. As far as the motor goes, I've already got it ordered. It's not going to be the cheapest thing I've ever done, but I ordered a 60 horsepower brand new Suzuki outboard, fuel injected, 3 cylinders. Should be a good little rig. I thought about going. I know the max and one of the plans says it's going to be like 75 or 85 horsepower, and it seems with modern outboards, you kind of jump from 60, which goes up to 70. When you go up to a 70 horsepower, that bumps you up to a 4-cylinder, and the price goes up a little bit, and then and the weight goes up exponentially. And the 70 horsepower motor and the 90 horsepower Suzuki are the same engine. It's just they're tuned differently to get more horsepower out of it. So you get quite a bit bigger motor. And I thought, I don't want it to. Speed isn't my main concern. I'd rather have things look right. But I didn't want to put a great big motor on this boat and have it sit, really low in the back and have it look kind of funky. Get the trailer wheels there. So I thought a 60 would be good. It's 230 horsepower. I'll have the fuel tank up in the front to level things out. And I think from kind of some of the research that I've done, it'll be a good efficient motor. Should have good low end torque, and should be pretty fun. So shot from the front, and so still lots of work to be done, but I'm very happy. I mean, this is all a week and a half worth of work on the top side, and things are just screaming along. I don't see any reason why once I get the motor in here, I'll get all that stuff run and get the gauges installed, the steering installed, and all that, and hopefully maybe even by the first of the year have a sub deck on this thing. So I'll keep you guys posted. I know I haven't been doing tons of videos, but I'll try and keep things lively and keep you guys updated. So thanks for watching. Feel free to put comments below. And until then, God bless and Merry Christmas, and see you guys next time.